You're sitting in a room full of people. Someone says something you don't quite agree with, and around you, heads start to nod. Slowly, one by one. And you feel it, that small tug in your chest, the gap between what you actually think and what everyone else seems to think. And then you nod too. Maybe it was a meeting at work. Maybe it was a group of friends deciding where to eat, and you said anywhere is fine when it really wasn't. Maybe it was something bigger, an opinion you kept folded up inside you, a truer version of yourself that stayed quiet, because saying the real thing felt like stepping out into the cold, alone. If you've done this more times than you'd like to admit, it doesn't make you fake, it doesn't make you weak, or spineless, or a coward. It makes you a human being carrying one of the oldest instincts we have. And by the end of this, I hope you'll be a little gentler with yourself about it. There's a name for that pull. Psychologists call it conformity, the quiet way we reshape ourselves to match the people around us, our opinions, our clothes, our laughter, even sometimes what we let ourselves feel. And here's the thing almost no one says out loud. Conformity isn't a character flaw. It's not proof that you have no backbone. It's a survival system, running quietly underneath your choices, trying to keep you safe. Because for almost all of human history, the group was everything. The group was food, shelter, warmth in winter, protection when the night got dangerous. And being pushed out of the group wasn't just embarrassing, it was a death sentence. To be alone was to be exposed. So your brain learned a simple, powerful lesson long before you were ever born. Fitting in is safety. Standing out is risk. And that lesson is still humming inside you today, in the meeting, at the dinner table, in the group chat you're afraid to disagree with. Let me show you just how strong this instinct is. In the 1950s, a psychologist named Solomon Asch ran a now famous experiment. He gathered people into small groups and showed them a simple picture, a line, and 3 other lines beside it. All they had to do was say which line matched. It was easy, obvious. A child could do it. But there was a trick. Everyone else in the room was an actor. And one by one, those actors began giving the same wrong answer. Out loud, confidently, pointing to a line that clearly did not match. And the real person sat there, watching their own eyes disagree with the entire room. Do you know what most of them did? They went along with it. Roughly 3 out of 4 people gave a wrong answer they could plainly see was wrong at least once just to match the group. Not because they were foolish, not because they couldn't see the truth, but because going against everyone else hurt so much that agreeing felt safer than being right. Sit with that for a second. People denied what was right in front of their own eyes rather than stand alone. That's not weakness. That's how deep this wiring goes, and it lives in you too. Now, this pull shows up in 2 different flavors, and it helps to know the difference. The first is when you go along because you want to be accepted. You might even know the group is wrong, but disagreeing feels too costly, so you keep quiet and nod. This is the fear of standing out. The fear of being the odd one, the difficult one, the one who gets that look. The second is quieter and sneakier. It's when you assume the group must know something you don't. Everyone else seems so sure, so you start doubting your own read on things. You hand over your judgment before you've even checked whether it was wrong. You shrink your own knowing to fit the room. And when a lot of people do this quietly, all at once, something strange happens to the whole group. Everyone privately has a doubt, but everyone is also watching everyone else stay silent, so each person assumes they must be the only one who feels it. No one says the hard thing. And the group slowly drifts toward a decision that not a single person in the room actually believed in. Psychologists call this groupthink. It's how a room full of smart, kind, well-meaning people can talk themselves into something none of them would have chosen alone. It isn't that they lacked courage. It's that each of them was quietly waiting for someone else to go first. And most of the time, conformity doesn't arrive as one big betrayal of yourself. That's the part that catches people off guard. It's not a single dramatic moment where you sell your soul. It's 1,000 tiny edits. You round off a sharp opinion here, you laugh at something that didn't actually land there, you pretend to like the thing everyone likes. You say, I don't mind so often that one day you look up and you genuinely can't tell what you mind anymore. You didn't lose yourself all at once. You misplaced yourself slowly, one small agreement at a time. Think about how it actually happens. You join something new, a job, a friend group, a new city. At first, you're just being polite, reading the room, fitting in enough to be welcomed. And that's healthy, that's kind. But somewhere along the way, the borrowed opinions stop feeling borrowed. The laugh you put on becomes your laugh, the taste you faked becomes the taste you defend. And the strangest part is that it almost never feels like pretending. It feels like adapting. It feels like growing up until a quiet moment catches you off guard, a song you loved before you were trying to impress anyone, something you used to say all the time, and you feel this small ache pulling you toward a version of yourself you can barely remember. And these days, the room never really closes. It used to be that you could go home, shut the door, and just be yourself for a while. Now the group is in your pocket. You can watch in real time exactly which opinions get applause and which ones get you left on read, which version of a person gets loved. So the pull to match doesn't stop. When you leave the meeting, it follows you onto the screen, into the late night scroll, quietly teaching you which parts of yourself are safe to show. It's no wonder so many of us feel a little unsure of who we'd even be with no one watching. And I want to be careful here, because this next part matters. Conformity is not the enemy. Please don't walk away from this thinking the goal is to fight everyone all the time and turn every dinner into a debate. We need some of this. Going along with each other is how we live together. It's how we cooperate, build trust, keep the peace, and pass a whole culture from one generation to the next. A world with zero conformity wouldn't be brave. It would be chaos. So, the question was never, how do I stop conforming? The real question, the softer, truer one, is this: am I choosing to go along, or am I quietly disappearing? Because those two things can look identical from the outside, but inside, they feel completely different. And a gentle note before we go further. If you read all of this and felt a kind of ache, like you've handed so much of yourself away that you're not sure where you end and the group begins, please know that's not something you have to sort out alone. This isn't a diagnosis and it isn't a label, but talking it through with a therapist or even one person you deeply trust can help you find your own edges again. Needing that is not weakness. It's just being human, out loud. So what do you actually do with all of this? Not a cure, not a personality transplant, just a few small ways to stay a little more yourself in a room that's always gently trying to reshape you. The first one is almost embarrassingly simple. Before you nod, pause just for a heartbeat and ask yourself one quiet question: what do I actually think here? You don't have to say it out loud, you don't have to make it a whole thing. The goal isn't to win the room. The goal is just this: don't lose the answer. Because you can't come back to an opinion you never let yourself notice in the first place. And you can even do it in your body. That flicker of tension you feel right before you agree with something you don't believe, that little bracing in your chest or your jaw, that's not nothing. That's your own knowing trying to get your attention. You don't have to act on it, just stop overriding it so fast. Let yourself feel the disagreement before you decide what to do with it. The second is to practice honesty where it's cheap before you need it where it's expensive. You don't have to start by challenging your boss in front of everyone. Start small, start safe. Actually, I'd rather the other place. I saw that one differently. Tiny, low stakes truths, said out loud, in rooms where it's safe to be seen. Every time you do it, you teach your nervous system something new, that being honest and being safe can happen at the same time. That the sky doesn't fall when you take up a little space. And the third one is maybe the tenderest. Let one disagreement simply exist, without rushing to fix it or smooth it over or take it back the moment someone frowns. You are allowed to think something different from the people you love and still belong with them. In fact, that's the quiet test of a good place and good people. They can hold the real you, edges and all, without needing you to shrink. And if a room can only love the flattened, agreeable version of you that's worth knowing too, gently, in time. None of this happens overnight. You'll still nod when you meant to speak. You'll still catch yourself saying, I don't mind, that's okay. Coming back to yourself isn't a single brave moment, it's a slow, patient habit of noticing, one small true thing at a time. So the next time you feel that familiar pull the heads nodding, the pressure to fold yourself into the shape of the room, try to remember what it really is. It's not weakness. It's an old, loyal part of you that learned a very long time ago that belonging kept you alive. You don't have to fight it, you just have to let it know you're safe now. You're allowed to be a little more yourself than that. If this stirred something in you, you might want to sit with the quieter fear underneath it, the fear of being disliked. I made a whole video on that one, and I'll leave it right here for you. Take your time, there's no rush, and whatever you actually think, it's allowed to exist.